10:17 a.m. here in northern New Mexico. It is a Food World Order Wednesday. Hope you're doing well whenever, wherever you are, and we appreciate you tuning in to Monarchy Radio. We are in our third year of Mounsey Minutes, and that is our buddy Gavin Mounsey up in the Great White North doing us a segment, second Tuesday of every month, that pulls from his landmark, recipesforreciprocity.com, and I also include a link back to all your previous Mounsey Minute episodes. And I'm glad you guys love this so much. I don't know what moussaka was. Moussaka is an aubergine, which I, back in the day, didn't know was an eggplant. Had a buddy who had an electronic music project that he called Aubergine 3. Moussaka is an aubergine, eggplant, or potato-based dish, often including ground meat, which is common in the Balkans and the Middle East with many local and regional variations. The modern Greek variant was created in the 1920s by Nikolaos Selamentis. Many versions have a top layer, because I was like, what's that top layer? Many versions have a top layer of a milk-based sauce thickened with egg, custard, or flour béchamel sauce. In Greece, the dish is layered and typically served hot. So that's a little intro, if only for myself to get me up to speed. Savory Garden Moussaka with Ghost Pepper Harissa and a lion's mane mushroom-infused béchamel topping, a.k.a. the Eggplant Wizard.
This is Gavin Mounsey for Media Monarchy, and this is the Mounsey Minute. This month, I'm going to be sharing a recipe that I like to cook in the cold winter months. The recipe I'm going to be sharing today is called moussaka. Now, the version that I made is an upgraded version from the recipe that's in my book. So this one I'm calling Savory Garden Moussaka, and I included Ghost Pepper Harissa sauce and a lion's mane mushroom infused sauce topping with breadcrumbs. I like to make recipes like this when we're all snowed in, like a lot of us are right now in Turtle Island. It's a hearty, stick-to-your-bones type meal, and it has a nice heat to it, and it's just a filling and really unique flavor. This recipe allowed us to use up the last of our dried garden beans. Now, in the original recipe of my book, I had used anasazi beans. This time I had runner beans, but you can use any dried beans, or you could even use canned kidney beans if you didn't have access to the dried beans. And then we used our homegrown potatoes, sweet potatoes, fermented peppers, and preserved garden tomatoes in this recipe. So it was nice to be able to use up some of the last of our garden harvests into something that's really nourishing in the winter months. In a similar sense to the shakshuka, moussaka has roots reaching in a wide range of different cultures. A lot of people in Greece think that it's a Greek dish, but it actually has connections all the way from Slovenia to Egypt and all throughout the Middle East. So I mixed up all the different cultural inspirations in my recipe tonight, and you're going to find a little bit of each one along with some flavors from my own neck of the woods mixed in there. I went all rogue and off the cultural rails and decided to add some finely diced white pine needles as a herb to flavor the tomato base. Now, that's a bit wacky, but it has a nice rosemary-esque flavor, and if you finely dice them, you don't notice the texture. You could also use spruce foliage or, let's say, Douglas fir foliage instead, but that's just me, doing some medicinal additions there. You don't have to add that. There's already a lot of herbs and spices in there to make the flavor great. And then I also added in a range of different mushrooms. So I used our foraged lion's mane mushrooms, hen of the wood mushrooms, and homegrown shiitake mushrooms. If you don't have those available in your local stores, I included a couple links on the post where you could probably source them out dried in the United States and Canada. The Greek version of this meal often consists of a really rich sauce that's made from a mixture of eggs and milk and sometimes yogurt put on top with some breadcrumbs, and then you bake it to make it nice and crispy. So I did an altered version of that where I included some ground up lion's mane mushroom flakes in with ours and some herbs. You could use a range of different mushrooms for that same effect. And then in the Balkan versions, in like the Serbian and different areas where they cook their own versions of this dish, they often use potatoes instead of eggplants because eggplants being more of a warm climate crop, they have more potatoes there. So I included potatoes in ours as well as sweet potatoes because I had a really deep cast iron dish. So I cut the potatoes really thin and the sweet potatoes really thin and then layered those. In order to build the nice rich tomato-based sauce on the bottom, I first started simmering up some onions, peppers, and mushrooms along with wild rice, which is something that grows in our neck of the woods here in the Great Lakes region. And if you pan fry the wild rice before you simmer it in a sauce, it busts open those kernels and it gives it a really nice meaty texture. and they're just a great flavor and really nutritious grain as well. And then I added in a bunch of different mushrooms and herbs, a splash of wine, and simmered that up until it's nice and reduced, and that became the base that I added on top of with the layers of the potatoes, the leeks, onions, and then eventually the roasted eggplant. Now for the eggplant, I found that if you slice it into like 3/4 inch slices and put a little bit of olive oil on there, maybe a little bit of salt. I had a really fun thyme and lion's mane powder infused salt that I added that, but you could just use olive oil and some herbs. And you put it in the oven on a high broil right close to the element for just a couple minutes until they get crispy and brown. Then they're nice to add onto the top of this, and it adds a beautiful texture in the end result. We used our own ghost pepper infused harissa sauce for ours, but you could use a store-bought harissa, or you could also use the same thing that I suggested using in the shakshuka, which is my harissa dry spice mix. And then you cook it all up in the oven for like 45 minutes, let all the flavors infuse, get the crispy top, and it becomes a beautiful meal for sharing in the colder months, especially if you're sharing it as part of a unique romantic evening. I'm thinking of all you Valentine's Day people out there. And this dish is not just delicious, it also offers neurotropic and reproductive health enhancing benefits. So this is an Egyptian style casserole with benefits. Well, I hope you guys give that recipe a try. It's a fun one to experiment with different cultures, and it's just really filling and satisfying. That's it for me this month, guys. Have a great rest of February, and we'll talk to you in March.
Snow on the rooftop, snow in my soul, snow in my heart, about an inch or so. Can't build much of a man out of snow. Can't stop a woman who's ready to go. Here comes a weatherman, more bad news. One of those days, even the blues got the blues. Crows singing my favorite song about how you don't know love till it's gone. Snow on a rooftop, snow in my soul, snow in my heart, about an inch or so. Can't build much of a man out of snow. Can't stop a woman when she's ready to go. God help you, little dreamer, my mama said. All those dreams gonna cloud your head. I believe she was right. If I listened to her, I wouldn't be lonely nights. Snow on a rooftop, snow in my soul, snow in my heart, about an inch or so. Can't build much of a man out of snow. Can't stop a woman, she's ready to go. They say, you always remember the one that got away. By the milk of the moon on the shadow of my hands, I can count the reasons, but I can't understand. Snow on a rooftop, snow in my soul, snow in my heart, about an inch or so. Can't build much of a man out of snow. Can't stop a woman, she's ready to go. Hallelujah, the choir boys sing about all the blessings heaven will bring. I was thinking about heaven just the other day, watching my baby walking away. Hallelujah, the choir boys sing about all the blessings that heaven will bring. I was thinking about heaven just the other day, watching my baby walking away. Snow on a rooftop, snow in my soul, snow in my heart, about an inch or so. Can't build much of a man out of snow. Can't stop a woman, she's ready to go. Can't stop a woman, she's ready to go.
On Media Monarchy, Man Out of Snow, from their 2010 album After This Time, Eggplant Heroes, an Eau Claire, Wisconsin-based musical collabo blending three-part harmonies with guitar, trumpet, and violin, presenting an eclectic mix of originals, literary adaptations, mountain gospel, Oxford commas, man, people love those, and folk. That is Gavin's musical accompaniment to episode 26 of the Mounsey Minute, the Media Monarchy exclusive monthly segment for you, giving you the Eggplant Wizard. And remember, and did I do it this time? Did I actually?
This is Gavin.
I did. It is uploaded as a separate MP3 file. So the link to your Mounsey Minute in your show notes, as nearly always, you get your own separate download. So if you're trying to share this with your friends or family, they don't hear me going,